Hello, my name is Irma Scholes, and I'm Staff Sergeant Select in the U.S. Air Force. Spent most of my time in D.C. Being a veteran to me means standing up for the underdog and those who can't fight for themselves. I still believe that, and I still do the same way in a different capacity, serving as District Director for Representative Carl Sherman of District 109.
And I'm so grateful for veterans like Irma Scholes who have given so much to our country. Thank you, Irma Scholes, and thank you for your service. Well, it's important that all of the community, I believe, pause to just thank our veterans for the work that they've done and the sacrifices they've made. They've essentially written the government or given the government a blank check and said that it doesn't matter, whatever it costs, limb or life, I'm willing to pay. And so for them and for our women and men who have served our country, honorably and nobly, I just want to say thank you, and thank you to your families as well, because they too have sacrificed so much for so many. God bless you.
The city of DeSoto today is just really grateful to be able to say thank you to our veterans who have served our country and who are here today. It's a simple event for us today, but we just want to say thank you to our veterans on behalf of a grateful city. Thank you.
What Veterans Day means to me is an opportunity to thank those who have served in any branch of service for this country. Those who gave it all, those who gave some, and those who gave. It's just a time to just pause and say thank you for thinking about our country and putting self and service before self. Putting service before self. That's what I think of Veterans.
Well, Veterans Day to me means continuing the work that we signed up for, just in a different way.
Veterans Day means to me it's a celebration of those that served their country. I'm a veteran. It just makes me proud that I was able to serve my nation and celebrate those who did the same, that fought for our country and our freedom.
Veterans Day means to me showing those veterans who have given everything to this country, everything to the people of this country. Not just thank you for Veterans Day, but do something nice for them.
Veterans Day to me is an opportunity for me to recognize and commemorate those that served our country and fought for our freedom. So it's a privilege and an honor to be out here serving those who serve.
Veterans Day means to me that I have the rights, and if it wasn't for them, there would be no us, simply because they were brave enough to not only to protect us, but they were able to support us. And now is our time to give back and support them, just to say thank you. From the city of DeSoto, this is just a drive-through food distribution, just a little something just to say thank you to our veterans of all of the world. So thank you so very much.
Okay, good morning and welcome to the city of DeSoto's. This is our normal Vet Fest. This is our normal Veterans Recognition program that we do yearly, and we kind of in the interest of social distancing and brevity, we cut it down a bit. But what we wanted to do today was recognize two different gentlemen that are of age, that really have contributed to the welfare and the establishment and the continuation and safety of this great country. I want to right now just recognize the folks that are here. And first of all, State Representative, former Mayor Carl Sherman Sr., Mayor Pro Tem Kenzie Moore, from the DeSoto City Council, Councilwoman Nicole Raphael, Councilwoman Dinah Marks, Councilman Andre Bird, and our city manager with his 3 fine bodyguards, Brandon Wright. Excuse me, from Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson's office, Alicia Terry. I want to personally, before I turn the program on to Congressman Sherman, I just want to thank by name the 2 gentlemen that we officially recognize today. From World War II era, Mr. Joe Washington. And from the Korean War era, Mr. Robert Williams. And we are just tickled pink to have 2 additions to our program this morning of honorees, if you will. Mr. Johnny Durand, served in the Korean War from 62 to 64. And I tried to be a little quippy when I said, oh, you were 62 to 64. I was born in 63. And he said, I had your back. I was fighting then. That's great, and I appreciate it. And then last but certainly not least, Mr. Joseph May, Korean War veteran. Oh, he's leaving. Oh, no. Okay, he's going. Okay, so very quickly, we'll turn the program over to State Representative Carl Sherman Sr. for presentations to our vets. So.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel. What an honor it is to be here as we pause for this moment to celebrate and honor the women and men who have fought for our country and sacrificed so much. We have so many veterans to thank for our liberties on this day, and wanted to be able to say to Joseph May, thank you, but he's driving off and probably going on to another event. But today, this moment, we pause to really commemorate their long-standing service and dedication to the country. 1% or less, actually, than 1% of the nation will volunteer to serve our country. And it's an ultimate sacrifice that these men and women have made. Mr. Williams and Mr. Washington have given so much to this country, and they didn't have to. They essentially gave the government a blank check and said, whatever it costs me, life or limb, I'm willing to pay. And they sacrificed not only for us, but their families also sacrificed for us. So this is really just a token of our appreciation. I know that the Congresswoman also has resolutions as well, and she was for the longest the only nurse in our United States Congress, and she was, or she is, a psychiatric nurse. And what we're going through as a country, we need a lot of psychiatric nurses right now in Congress. So thank you for her service. Please convey that for me. So at this time, I'd like to ask Mr. Joe Washington, Coach Washington, if you would come forward. You know, Coach, there aren't many men or women who can get around like you do at 30 years old. So, what an honor it is to stand with you, sir. This resolution reads, Joe D. Washington of DeSoto distinguished himself through his service in the U.S. Army during World War II, and the observance of Veterans Day 2020 provides a welcome opportunity to pay tribute to his effort in behalf of this country. And whereas, after enlisting in the Army, Mr. Washington was assigned to the 2309th Engineer Aviation Company, 926th Engineer Aviation Regiment, as well as to the 7th Flight Wing out of Wheeler Army Airfield, an Army Air Corps base in Oahu, Hawaii. While in the military, he worked as a clerk typist and eventually earned promotion to the rank of corporal. He was awarded a number of decorations, including the World War II Victory Medal. And whereas Mr. Washington went on to enjoy a rewarding career as a head coach for Hillard High School in Bay City from 1952 to 1965, and as head coach for Lincoln High School in Port Arthur from 1965 to 1993. He then worked as the athletics coordinator for the Port Arthur Independent School District. A resident of DeSoto for 21 years, he is blessed with the love and support of his wife, Elizabeth Washington, and their 4 children, 8 grandchildren, and 3 great-grandchildren. And whereas our nation owes a profound debt of gratitude to those brave Americans who took up arms during one of the most far-reaching conflicts in world history. And through his contributions to his country and to his community, Joe Washington has earned the lasting admiration of his fellow Texans. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Joe D. Washington be commended for his military service during World War II, and that he be extended sincere best wishes for the future. Thank you, Coach Washington. Thank you. Thank you, Corporal. We again are honored to bestow you with this resolution, Mr. Williams. Whereas Robert Patrick Williams of DeSoto served this country with great honor and distinction as a member of the U.S. Armed Forces. To pay tribute and the occasion of Veterans Day 2020 provides a fitting opportunity to pay tribute to this exemplary military career. And whereas following his graduation from St. Peter Claver High School in San Antonio, Mr. Williams enlisted in the U.S. Army September 1950. He served with the Army Infantry and was wounded during the Korean War. He was honorably discharged June 1952 and went on to join the U.S. Army National Guard and the U.S. Army Reserve. And whereas Mr. Williams enjoyed a civilian career with the Lockheed Corporation in Los Angeles, California, there he met his future wife, the former Inez Amos, and they exchanged wedding vows on June 27, 1953, beginning a rewarding journey together that has spanned nearly 7 decades. The couple lived in San Fernando, California before moving to Texas in 2000 and settling in DeSoto. And whereas over the years, Mr. Williams has had the pleasure of seeing his family grow to include his 2 children, Daryl and Sheila, and as well as 4 grandchildren, Nicole, Natalie, Stephen, and Brandon, and 5 great-grandchildren, Anthony, Ashley, Javier, Aubrey, and Lucas. And whereas Robert Williams has upheld the highest ideas of our nation's armed forces with bravery, dedication, and integrity, and his fellow citizens owe him a lasting debt of gratitude. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Robert Patrick Williams be commended for his distinguished military service, and that he be extended sincere best wishes for the future. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, City of DeSoto. Thank you, DeSoto Veterans Affairs Committee, for your continued commitment and dedication to honoring the veterans. Unfortunately, Congresswoman Johnson could not be here today, but she still wanted to show her sincere appreciation to the veterans. She is a daughter, granddaughter, niece, and sister of veterans, and has remained committed to serving veterans her entire life. Okay. So, as I was saying, unfortunately, Congresswoman Johnson could not be here today, but she still wanted to show her sincere appreciation to the veterans. She is a daughter, granddaughter, niece, and sister of veterans, and has remained committed to serving veterans her entire life. So, on behalf of Congresswoman Johnson and the 30th Congressional District, thank you, Mr. Robert Patrick Williams and Mr. Joe Washington, for your unwavering commitment and profound sacrifice for our country and its citizens. So thank you.
I can't go another minute without, when we were talking about the strong veterans of this community, standing in front of us is former Mayor Colonel Bobby Waddle. Thank you, sir. Glad you're here. Thank you. Okay, moving along. Dr. Dinah Marks will speak on behalf of the City of DeSoto.
I want to say thank you all so very much for coming out in observance of veterans that we have here in the City of DeSoto. On behalf of the City of DeSoto, the proclamation. Whereas in November 1919, President Wilson proclaimed November 11th as the first commemoration of Armistice Day to honor veterans of World War I. But in 1954, after World War II had required the greatest mobilization of soldiers, sailors, Marines, and airmen, and after American forces fought aggression in Korea, the 83rd Congress amended the Act of 1938 by striking the word armistice and inserting the word veterans. On June 1st, 1954, November 11th, became a day to honor veterans of all wars. And whereas Robert Patrick Williams was born in Austin, Texas, and grew up in San Antonio, Texas, where he graduated from St. Peter Claver High School and later enlisted in the Army on September 19, 1950, and served for 21 months stationed in Korea during the Korean War. And whereas Robert Patrick Williams was injured while on the grounds in the Army Infantry in Korea and received the honorable discharge from the Army in June of 1952. And once discharged from the U.S. Army, he enlisted in the U.S. Army National Guard, where he served another 3 years and also served time with the Army Reserve. And whereas Robert Patrick Williams later settled in Los Angeles, California, where he began a second career with Lockheed Corporation and met the love of his life, Inez Amos. They later wed on June 27, 1953, and had been together for 67 years. And from their union produced 2 children, 4 grandchildren, and 5 great-grandchildren. Mr. and Mrs. Williams later relocated from California to Dallas, Texas area and settled here in the city of DeSoto, where they have resided for the past 16 years. And whereas Veterans Appreciation Day is observed to specifically focus attention on the needs of DeSoto veterans and their families, and is designed to acknowledge the sacrifices they were made. Therefore, this year, we will honor our veterans as well as help them take advantage of the many opportunities and benefits they are entitled to through dissemination of information for operating small businesses, special health and mental health benefits, and local businesses who offer special veterans discounts and services. Now therefore, I, Kenzie Moore III, by the authority vested in me by the state of Texas, Dallas County, and as Mayor Pro Tem of the city of DeSoto, Texas, proclaim November 7th, 2020 as Veterans Appreciation Day here in the city of DeSoto, and November 11th, 2020 as Veterans Day. I encourage all Americans to recognize the valor and sacrifice of our veterans through ceremonies and prayers, and to also display their United States flag on this date. In accordance with the United States Flags Code, the flags flown in every city here in the city of DeSoto's facility. We remain at full staff in honor of these veterans. In witness whereof, I have set my hand and caused the seal of the city of DeSoto to be affixed the 7th day of November 2020. Kenzie Moore III, Mayor Pro Tem, Keisha R. Morris Perkins, City Secretary, and I'm City Councilwoman Dr. Dinah Marks.
I want to give way to our Colonel and former Mayor, and I'd like for him to come up and say a few words. And that is our Mayor, former Mayor, Bobby Waddle, who served in the service, Mayor for a long time. And I'll be remiss if I didn't give him an opportunity to speak.
Well, first of all, I want to thank the city of DeSoto and this community for this special day in honoring our veterans. It's been those who served our country, and those must remember those who gave the utmost in lives. But DeSoto has been very gracious in keeping our veterans in mind, because as time goes by, people forget, and we have to keep that to educate the younger generations coming along. But, it's been a real honor to be a part of the city of DeSoto, and I wish you the best today, and thanks again for keeping our veterans in mind, and it's just a great thing to distribute food out here today. And so God bless you, and God bless America, and God bless us all. Thank you.
Okay, it's our last proclamation, and this is for you, Mr. Washington. If you don't mind, this is a proclamation for you from the city of DeSoto. Whereas November 1919, President Wilson proclaimed November the 11th as the first commemoration of America's Day of Honor veterans of World War I. But in 1954, after World War II had acquired the greatest mobilization of soldiers, sailors, Marines, and airmen, and after American forces fought aggressions in Korea, the 83rd Congress amended the Act of 1938 by striking the word emeritus and inserting the word veterans. On June the 1st, 1954, November the 11th became a day of honor veterans of all wars, a day to honor all veterans of all wars, and whereas Mr. Joe D. Washington, a World War II veteran, having served from 1941 to 45, ranked as a corporal and received the World War II Victory Medal, and whereas, I want to call you doctor for some reason, whereas Joe D. Washington Once discharged from the U.S. Army, began his second career serving as head coach of Hillard High School in Bay City, Texas, from 1952 to 1965, as well as Lincoln High School in Port Arthur, Texas, from 1965 to 1993, and later became coordinator of athletics for the Port Arthur Independent School District. And whereas Joe D. Washington met and married the love of his life, Elizabeth Washington, and from their union produced 4 children, 8 grandchildren, and 3 great-great-grandchildren. Mr. and Mrs. Washington later settled in the city of DeSoto, where they have resided for the past 21 years. And whereas Veterans Appreciation is observed to specifically focus attention on the needs of DeSoto veterans and their families, and is designed to acknowledge the sacrifice they've made. Therefore, this year we will honor our veterans as well as help them take advantage of the many opportunities and benefits that are entitled to through dissemination of information for operating small businesses, special health and mental health benefits, and local businesses who offer special veterans discounts or services. Therefore, I, Kenzie Moore III, by the authority vested in me by the state of Texas, Dallas County, and as Mayor Pro Tem of the city of DeSoto, Texas, proclaim November 7, 2020 as Veterans Appreciation Day in the city of DeSoto, and November 11, 2020 as Veterans Day. I encourage all Americans to recognize the value and sacrifice of our veterans through ceremonies and prayers, and also display the United States flag on this day. In accordance with the United States Flag Code, the flag flown at every city of the DeSoto facility will remain at full staff in honor of these veterans. In witness thereof, I have set my hand and caused the seal of the city of DeSoto to be affixed this day, 7th of November. And would you go present that to Mr. Washington? Before I turn the mic back over to the Veterans Committee, and particularly to Mr. Hooper, I want to say something in regard to how special this day is and how special this ceremony would have been to our mayor. Veterans Day was a major program that she really embraced. And every year she looked to this, and she would want to be here, and she would want to be here to acknowledge you all. And she would also want to say thank you to the ones that are out here at this time. And so I, on behalf of the city of DeSoto, and yes, in behalf of our mayor, I still want to say thank you. And I want to continue to honor our veterans on this day, as she would honor you in a very special way as well. So thank you all. Thank you all very much.